All right, so we're going to take a look at some of the dynamics that are coming together today, September 21st, 2022. We have a risk of severe weather. So I'm just going to show you how I came up with that prediction for today. So right now, this is a look at the surface-based CAPE or the energy for thunderstorms. And right now, as you can see, there's no CAPE right now. It's very early in the day. As the day progresses, we're going to lose this blue here, which is the what would be called the cap or a stable layer in the atmosphere. This stops convection. So that blue area is supposed to disappear. And we're gonna see somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 joules of CAPE across most of the county. Some areas may get over about 2,000 joules. And when that happens, then the atmosphere is definitely going to be ready for the development of thunderstorms. So changing over now to a look at the pressure map as well as the equivalent potential temperature map. And equivalent potential temperature helps with identifying air masses. So it looks like the warm sector of this low pressure system basically is the green and the yellow isotax. So higher levels, higher amount of equivalent potential temperature just represents a warmer air mass in general. And if you can see, some of the coloring helps with identifying a warmer air mass versus a colder air mass. Uh, these wind bars are showing us that the winds are coming from the south, so warm air is building into southern Ontario. Higher values of equivalent potential temperature can be expected throughout the day. This air mass is also going to be quite humid and it's going to be unstable as a result, or conditionally unstable, I should say. We are going to need a trigger for these thunderstorms. And out ahead of the cold front, looks like we may have a trough. There may be a prefrontal trough out ahead of the cold front. There's also old thunderstorms, and their outflow boundaries may be interacting with lake breezes, and that can help with the development of thunderstorms. Waves that go out ahead of a thunderstorm may also help with the development of new thunderstorms. So, like such gravity waves. So that's what makes it tricky is we don't really know exactly what is going to lead to the development of the thunderstorms today. And we don't know where. Now I'll take a look at the wind shear. This is the bulk wind shear, which would show you basically from the surface up to the top of the thunderstorm. This is how much wind shear a thunderstorm has access to. And right now we're looking at pretty healthy values over parts of Simcoe County. There's the 40 knots of wind shear, and the thick blue line is showing you that this is a value of wind shear that's sufficient enough for severe weather. The 35 is not bad either, and we're seeing this over a broad section of northern parts of Simcoe County. And then to the north and to the west, there's even higher values of bulk wind shear. We're gonna have to see if this wind shear can perhaps increase over Simcoe County for a more guaranteed risk of severe weather. But right now, we're sticking with marginal. If everything comes together nicely, then the risk is definitely there for some pretty severe weather and an outbreak of severe thunderstorms. Also, the reason for predicting a line of thunderstorms at this time is because we're expecting that the wind shear, the direction of the wind shear isn't going to be at a 90-degree angle to the boundary. So it's expected that you're going to have components of the wind shear that are parallel to the boundary, assuming that the boundary is back here somewhere, the cold front. And the wind shear back here is, as you can see, it's not really at a 90-degree angle to the boundary at all. But since we're having development ahead of the cold front, it might actually be better to see these wind shear vectors get it going at a 90-degree angle to the outflow boundary or to the lake breeze boundary that's causing the development of these thunderstorms. And right now with this setup, if there was to be a lake breeze boundary, it doesn't look like that would occur exactly. Like if a boundary came off Lake Huron, like radially outwards from Lake Huron, you wouldn't get anything at 90 degrees to the boundary. Same with Georgian Bay for the most part. But again, we have to watch to see how things change during the day and see how things actually develop. Now we'll look at the wind shear at different levels. So this is the lower atmosphere's wind shear from the surface up to 1 kilometer into the atmosphere. So across the county right now, there's about 20 to about 25 knots of shear in northern Simcoe County near Georgian Bay. And in the other parts of the county, it's between 15 knots and 20 knots. So there's higher values up towards Muskoka and Perry Sound. So you would like to see that increase a bit during the day, during the afternoon. Well, if you're looking for severe weather, of course. If you don't want severe weather, then you're hoping that the wind shear stays lower, drops to about 15 knots or lower. And then between the surface and 3 kilometers, the wind shear right now is generally well, not sufficient for the development of severe weather right now because it's between about 20 to 25 knots. We're just a little bit above 25 knots over most of Simcoe County. You really want to see 30 knots or higher for severe weather, and right now it just looks like maybe tiny Penetanguishene, Midland, and up by Port Severn would have this amount of wind shear right now. That's going to help with the development of a supercell thunderstorm when you get wind shear between the surface and about 3 kilometers above 30 knots. This is between the surface and 6 kilometers. So there is a healthy amount of wind shear close to the coast of Georgian Bay where you got 50 knots between the surface and 6 kilometers. So again, that's showing you the conditions are sufficient to support the development of a supercell just in this area where the wind shear between the surface and 6 kilometers is 50 knots or higher. But since we're expecting lines of thunderstorms, then the supercell, if it develops, would be probably embedded in the line of thunderstorms. So now we'll switch gears and look at the helicity right now, which is the potential for rotation in the wind. Effective helicity is not looking too promising right now just because it's based on what would happen if an air parcel were to rise from the surface and head upwards. So overall in the like from the surface up to the top of the thunderstorm, the effective helicity is not looking too strong right now. I would expect this to increase during the day. And then if we look at some of the layers of helicity, like between the surface and 1 kilometer, things are looking fairly strong all across a large portion of southern Ontario. And I really got my eye on this zone, starting around the eastern side of Georgian Bay. This would be a really good area for severe weather, particularly the chance of a tornado. When you see that in the lower levels, you have a lot of helicity, a lot of potential for the wind to rotate. Even in Simcoe County, there's an area where the helicity is good right by Georgian Bay. And then outside of that, we still have decent amount of helicity all across the county in the from the surface up to 1 kilometer. So I'm keeping my eye on what develops in this area near Georgian Bay today. And then between the surface and 3 kilometers, the helicity has dropped off to the south of Georgian Bay, not looking very high. But then as you get to the eastern side of Georgian Bay, like get east of Nottawasaga Bay, even into the central areas of Simcoe County, then you're going to be getting into where the helicity is 200 or higher. And that is decent for the development of severe weather, the development of tornadoes, development of thunderstorms that may produce tornadoes. So again, it looks like just east of Georgian Bay may be a good place to keep your eye on. I'll just go look back at the energy to see if it's building in. No, the energy is not building in yet. The atmosphere is still stable. It's really supposed to start building in after 11 a.m. And right now it's 10:48 a.m. while I'm at the time of making this video. So that is going to build in throughout the afternoon, really. Like during the afternoon hours, this energy should build up. Just out of curiosity, we could look at the downdraft cape to see where can expect some devastating wind gusts. Yeah, it looks like over Simcoe County right now, not looking too bad in terms of downdraft cape, but out in southwestern Ontario, close to like Lake Huron, there is a chance of some pretty devastating wind gusts or downbursts or microbursts. Just looking at this downdraft cape, it's pretty healthy where you see the red line anywhere over about 800 joules, and it's really good where you see the brown starting at 1,000 joules or higher. And just in case you were curious, this is where the Americans are expecting severe weather. So like Western New York, northern parts of Pennsylvania, Ohio, northern parts of Ohio, that has what they call a slight risk. And then the marginal risk is just outside of this zone. It's a little hard to see. It's a little bit hard to see, but the blue line, this turquoise bluish line, light blue line, it goes into looks like it goes into southwestern Ontario, even up towards the Bruce Peninsula and Georgian Bay. And that would represent a marginal risk of severe weather. So there we have it. It looks like if I were just to extend that line into Canada, it looks like Simcoe County's also got a marginal risk of severe weather. So we don't know exactly how this is going to develop yet, but just stay tuned. I'm probably going to go out to track these storms, so I won't be right at the computer for updates. But there's lots of people that are giving updates today. So just stay tuned, stay alert to the weather conditions this afternoon.